Hey, it's Adam here, and in this episode, I'm going to give you 7 stretching guidelines that will ensure a more effective, efficient, and pain-free way to improve your flexibility. Now, you know you need to stretch, but doesn't it seem counterintuitive to continue to do something that's time-intensive and painful? Well, I'm here to tell you that feeling pain during stretching should never be a part of the program, because it's a sign that your body's internal defense mechanisms of your nervous system are fighting against you and warning you if you don't back off, there will be a price to pay. And if you push through the pain, you could potentially create small microtraumas in the muscle and connective tissue. If this stress is just repeated over and over, then more severe and chronic issues may occur to the balance and integrity of your entire musculoskeletal structure. On top of that, the nervous system becomes traumatized, where it becomes overly sensitive to touch and can make a muscle hyperreactive to the stimulus of movement, or the total opposite, and can inhibit a muscle from activating when it should. This all creates a level of dysfunction that leaves the muscle weak and vulnerable. On the other hand, if you stretch before reaching that threshold of pain, then you will ensure that your muscles, tendons, and ligaments will maintain their integrity, and you can reach your desired result of attaining greater flexibility without the trauma. Now, before I get into the 7 guidelines for the best ways to reach longer lasting results and preventing injury, we're going to quickly review the science, because stretching has become so much different from how we learned when we were in PE class and in high school athletics. I even question if any science was used at all at that time by our coaches. The methods utilized today by many educated trainers and physical therapists are designed to outsmart the body in order to achieve the desired effect in a way that's effective, efficient, and most importantly, safe. It starts with the understanding of the body's self-defense mechanisms and knowing how to prevent them from firing off. That's the trick. You see, inside the muscle, fascia, tendons, and ligaments are sensory receptors, otherwise known as proprioceptors, which send messages to and receive messages from the brain, so that there's a consistent feedback loop of communication from the whole system. It's those proprioceptors that help us to know where our body is in space, otherwise known as having a kinesthetic awareness. And also it helps us to know which muscles to recruit and in what sequence. The particular sensory receptors in the muscle, called muscle spindles, keep track of the length of the muscle, and if the length tension limits are breached, the muscle spindle has the duty to reflexively contract the muscle to be shorter to protect the muscle from tearing. Similar protective reflexes exist throughout the body, much like your eyelids shuts to protect the cornea from being breached. Now, the reflex that protects the muscle from tearing when being stretched too far, too fast, is referred to as the myotatic reflex. That's the resistance and sometimes the pain you feel when you give your body, you take your body too far and it goes outside of its comfort zone. So the involvement of the myotatic reflex is counterproductive to what we want to accomplish in stretching. With that said, we have to learn to work with and around those receptors to get what we want. In other words, be smarter with our approach. In the act of stretching, we're going to inevitably create some tension in the muscle and connective tissue. So what we can do is apply a specific step to alleviate pre-existing tensions from the start and turn down those overreactive proprioceptors. To accomplish this, here are 7 guidelines to follow during the act of stretching. Number 1, warm up. This brings the warmth and blood flow to your tissues of the muscle to enhance their elasticity and to reduce the risk of damaging your muscle and connective tissue. So start off with a low intensity warm-up for 10 minutes to the point where you feel a noticeable increase in blood flow in your arms and legs, and increased body temperature and possibly a light sweat. Number 2, foam roll. Spend the next 10 5-10 minutes using a foam roller to desensitize and relax spots along your muscles that seem to push back on the foam roller and or are painful. These pain centers are referred to as trigger points and can be like a thorn in our side, inhibiting our muscles unless we make the effort to release them. Think of the act of foam rolling like a search and destroy mission. To learn how to foam roll properly, please visit my website to watch the free videos. Now, the combination of warming up and foam rolling will create a very friendly environment for your proprioceptors, and they will be more willing to work with you, which should be the objective throughout the entire stretch session. Number 3, know your anatomy. As another important aspect of learning how to stretch is having a basic foundation of knowledge and being familiar with the muscles that you're stretching and how to position your body to create the desired effect. Number 4, breathe. It's very important to make a conscious effort to breathe through the tension when met with the resistance we feel in our muscles, because subconsciously holding our breath when faced with a high level of discomfort or stress is among many of our natural subconscious tendencies as a means of protection in our inherent fight or flight response. And holding the breath is actually counterproductive to the result that we're seeking when stretching, as it actually creates unnecessary added tension, which brings us closer to reaching the threshold of experiencing the pain and discomfort that deters many of us from stretching to begin with. So when you're faced with a greater resistance in your muscles during stretching, that's when it's most beneficial that you make an extra concentrated effort to have a long exhalation and of course preceded by a sufficient inhalation. This active focused breathing allows your subconscious mind to relax and let go of the need to fight, because you're in control of what's happening. And as a result, you will find that your body will respond much better and achieve better flexibility. Number 5, go slow by always easing into it, and then ease out of the stretch to decrease the likelihood of stretching and setting those triggers off that create that muscle shortening reflex and negating the potential improvements. Number 6, when stretching before an activity, it's important to focus on stretching only to align the body through lengthening specific trouble areas that are chronically short and tight on your body. This is typically what we would discover in the Advanced Athletics Fitness Assessment. And you want to make sure only to hold those stretches for short duration of around 2 seconds to prevent the myotatic reflex and the potential inhibition of the muscle for any activity that you're about to do. And the last tip is for that post-exercise stretch, it's the best time, the absolute best time to stretch is after or at the end of your day, since physical activity involves repetitive muscular contractions that are mostly leaving your muscles in a shortened state from which they'll stay until you stretch them. It's like taking 2 steps forward, then 1 step back. So it's after the workout or at the end of your day is when you should stretch longer and more intensely to leave your muscles in a relaxed state for the rest of your day or evening. I encourage you to take the time for yourself every day to stretch towards making it a new healthy habit. In the next stretching series video, I will discuss the pros and cons of certain types of stretching and which ones are the most effective. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out.